I died in the bathroom, and my dogs and my wife saved my life. Report speech balloon. I am 42 years old. I consider myself healthy and have always lived an active lifestyle, regularly exercising. I never imagined that I would go through what happened on December 14th. That Sunday was a perfect day, one of those ordinary, peaceful days. I was waiting for my wife to come back from her shift. She is a doctor. We went to the market, laughed, and talked. In the evening, we ordered esfihas, watched Netflix on the couch, and went to bed around 11 p.m. Everything as usual. Complete calm. My memories of that day stop right there, when I put my head on the pillow. The next thing I remember is opening my eyes at 5 a.m. Lying on a stretcher in the emergency department, surrounded by bright lights and hospital sounds. What I am about to tell you now is a reconstruction of the events from that time, based on my wife's account. And I will say this right away, if it were not for my dogs and my wife, I would not be writing this today. Service dogs. Around 1 a.m., I got up to go to the bathroom. I remember absolutely nothing about it. My wife was sleeping deeply and most likely would have continued sleeping until it was too late. That is when my dogs got involved. They heard noises coming from the bathroom and realized that something was wrong. They became extremely agitated, making noise and insisting until my wife woke up. It was their panic that forced my wife to get out of bed. When she listened to their warning and ran to the bathroom, she saw the most horrible sight of her life. I was slumped over the toilet, making irregular, gasping sounds. For those who do not know, this is a painful, noisy breathing sound that occurs when the brain is already suffering from a lack of oxygen. It is the sound of death. There was blood in my mouth, I was completely pale, and my lips were purple. When she checked my vital signs, there was almost no pulse. In her words, I was dead, rescued. Her instincts and medical training kicked in, but her physical strength was working against her. With great difficulty, she managed to lift me off the toilet and place me on the floor. There, on the bathroom floor, I went into full cardiac arrest. She immediately began performing rescue breathing and CPR. The resuscitation lasted about a minute until, miraculously, I came back. But I did not return as my normal self. When I regained consciousness on the floor, I was in a state of severe mental confusion. I could not see anything, temporary blindness due to lack of oxygen to the brain. I did not understand where I was, and worst of all, I did not recognize my wife. I did not know who she was and did not remember that she was pregnant. I was agitated and disoriented, negligence and bias. In desperation, she called emergency medical services. She explained the situation. Said that I had suffered cardiac arrest and that she had resuscitated me. The response? They refused to send an ambulance. Their argument was that since I had already come back and was breathing, it was no longer considered a priority cardiac arrest requiring immediate ambulance dispatch. Imagine the situation. My pregnant wife had just brought me back to life on the bathroom floor thanks to our dog's warning. I was confused, and emergency services refused to help. With no other choice, she managed, with the help of a friend, to get me into a car, and they rushed me to the emergency department. Investigation, a medical mystery. I was hospitalized and only fully regained consciousness about 5 hours later. I was immediately transferred to the intensive care unit. Then followed a series of tests to understand why a healthy, athletic 42-year-old man almost died in his sleep. They examined my body from every possible angle. A lumbar puncture was performed. Normal result, heart attack or blocked arteries. A CT angiography was done. Result, clean arteries, 0% obstruction, structural problems in the brain or heart. An MRI was performed. Everything was normal. I was a mystery. Everything seemed perfect, except for two subtle details. The first ECG taken upon admission and a stress test showed slight abnormalities, a very specific pattern that raised a rare suspicion, Brugada syndrome. For those who have never heard of it, I hadn't either. Brugada syndrome is a serious inherited arrhythmia. Simply put, the system of my heart, the arteries, and the structure, the muscles, are fine, but the electrical part has a factory defect. It is a failure in the heart's electrical system that can cause ventricular fibrillation and sudden death, usually during rest or sleep. It is a silent disease that kills healthy young people. The outcome, after the suspicion was confirmed, the solution was not medication but mechanical protection. On December 23, the day before Christmas, I underwent surgery to implant an ICD, implantable cardioverter defibrillator, essentially. It is an advanced pacemaker. It monitors my heart 24/7. If a life-threatening arrhythmia occurs again, the device will deliver an internal electric shock and instantly bring me back to life. I am now home, recovering from surgery and trying to process everything. Life is fragile. Today, I want to express immense gratitude to two beings, my wife, who had the strength and knowledge to resuscitate me while pregnant, and my dogs. If they had not woken the entire house that morning, I would have quietly died in the bathroom.